Greetings and welcome to the Fite BioPharma First Quarter 2020 Business Update Conference Call. At this time, all participants are in a listen-only mode. A brief question-and-answer session will follow the formal presentation. If anyone should require operator assistance during the conference, please press *0 on your telephone keypad. It is now my pleasure to introduce your host, Mr. Bob Yedid of Lifesci Advisors. Thank you. You may begin.
Thank you, and thanks to everyone for joining us for the Fite First Quarter 2020 conference call. Today, the company will provide a financial update for the quarter ended March 31, 2020, as well as latest developments in Fite's advanced stage clinical pipeline. On the call today are Fite CEO, Dr. Pnina Fishman, and the company's CFO, Moti Farbstein. At the end of the call, we will have a question and answer session. We will start with a brief safe harbor statement. This conference call may contain forward-looking statements about Fite's expectations, beliefs, or intentions regarding, among other things, market risks and uncertainties, its product development efforts, business, financial condition, results of operations, strategies, or prospects. Forward-looking statements can be identified by the use of forward-looking words such as believe, expect, intend, plan, may, should, or anticipate, or their negatives, or other variations of these words, or other comparable words, or by the fact these statements do not relate strictly to historical or current matters. Because forward-looking statements relate to matters that have not yet occurred, these statements are inherently subject to risks and uncertainties that can cause Fite's actual results to differ materially from any future results expressed or implied by the forward-looking statements. Now it's my pleasure to turn the call over to Dr. Pnina Fishman, CEO. Pnina?
Thanks, Bob. Before I begin, I'd like to share on behalf of all our Fite team members and their families our deepest sympathies for those who have been affected by the global COVID-19 pandemic. We also sincerely thank those who have been working to keep all of us safe through the crisis, particularly those healthcare workers on the front line as COVID-19 sites. Their commitment and selfless acts are an inspiration to all of us, and on behalf of our entire Fite team, I say thank you. We are excited and highly encouraged about the latest clinical developments at Fite for our advanced drug namodenoson and piclidenoson. Namodenoson has shown very compelling phase 2 data for the treatment of NASH. Piclidenoson is a candidate for treating COVID-19, and we have filed a pre-IND request with the US FDA for this indication. Now, I will get into details about this and other clinical developments. We successfully concluded a phase 2 study on namodenoson in NAFLD and NASH, which achieved its efficacy and safety endpoints. We are very pleased to report that namodenoson resolved all cases of NASH, reduced liver fat, reduced liver fibrosis, induced an anti-inflammatory effect while showing an excellent safety profile. The double-blind placebo-controlled dose-finding efficacy and safety study enrolled 60 patients with NAFLD with or without NASH. Patients were randomized into 25 mg and 12.5 mg of namodenoson or placebo. Following 12 weeks of treatment, the results of the study determined the optimal dosage to be 25 mg for both safety and efficacy. The percentage of liver fat and liver stiffness showed a trend of decrease in the 25 mg group throughout the study period, reflecting improvement in both parameters. Serum adiponectin levels increased in both namodenoson groups. Adiponectin is a cytokine with robust anti-inflammatory and anti-fibrotic effect that is used as a biomarker in NAFLD-NASH trials. In the namodenoson 25 mg treated group, the proportion of patients with high steatosis scores, in other words, liver fat, declined from 37.5% to 13.3% of the population as compared to the placebo group, which decreased from 37.5% to 35.3% only of the population. Patients treated with 25 mg namodenosone had a statistically significant reduction in hepatic fibrosis, in other words, scar tissue in the liver, as measured by the Fite score as compared to placebo. Fite change from baseline improved by -0.082 in patients dosed with 25 mg of namodenosone as compared to the placebo group, which deteriorated from baseline by 0.042 points. Namodenosone also significantly reduced ALT and AST liver enzymes and induced a linear decrease in body weight in the 25 mg group. The A3AR, the A3 adenosine receptor biomarker, CANF's main target, was stable, demonstrating the presence of the receptor after chronic treatment and reflecting the validity of the target. Additionally, a very important finding is that namodenosone significantly resolved all cases of NASH. 25% of the patients treated with the high dose of namodenosone had NASH at the beginning of the study, and by the end of the study, their NASH was significantly resolved as compared to an increase in new NASH cases in the placebo group from a baseline of 0 to 5.9%. Namodenosone continues to be safe and very well tolerated with no drug-emergent severe adverse effects and no hepatotoxicity. As a result of this study and in consultation with key opinion leaders in the field, namodenosone was determined to be a very strong candidate for continuous clinical development in the treatment of NAFLD NASH, particularly since no other treatment options are currently approved for this growing unmet need. Immediately following this phase 2 data, we were very pleased to receive a notice of allowance for a patent from the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office for namodenosone in the treatment of NASH. During the first quarter, we also received this patent in Korea. The protection provided by this IP has a high value for us as we move forward into advanced stage clinical trials in this indication and as we evaluate distribution of partnerships for namodenosone. Turning now to our planned pivotal phase 3 liver cancer study of namodenosone. Following a successful end of phase 2 meeting with the FDA regarding namodenosone in the treatment of hepatocellular carcinoma, the FDA agreed with our proposed pivotal phase 3 trial design to support a new drug application submission and approval. The phase 3 study protocol and registration plan have been already submitted to the European Medicine Agency, EMA. Our aim is to conduct one phase 3 pivotal trial in US, Europe, and Israel for regulatory approval in those markets should the study achieve its endpoint. Namodenosone continues to be used in Israel under a compassionate use program. Now I will turn to developments with piclidenoson. We are expecting the interim data in the fourth quarter from 2 phase 3 studies of piclidenoson, one in the treatment of rheumatoid arthritis and the other in the treatment of psoriasis. Over 50% of patient enrollment has been completed in both these studies. The data will be monitored by an independent data monitoring committee, DMC, which will have unblinded access to the data during the third quarter, and we intend to announce this data in the fourth quarter. A new development with piclidenoson, which we are hopeful about, is its potential to treat COVID-19. Piclidenoson's anti-rheumatic and antiviral effects combined with its excellent safety profile make it a potential candidate for the treatment of coronavirus. We recently filed a pre-investigational new drug meeting request with the FDA for piclidenoson in the treatment of COVID-19 patients with moderate to severe symptoms. We anticipate guidelines from the FDA during the meeting. Based on these guidance, we plan to submit an IND application for piclidenoson to be evaluated as a potential addition to the current standard of care treatment for COVID-19. We had previously announced that we were approved to commence a COVID-19 clinical study in Israel. While we did commence the trial, we have not enrolled patients due to the decreasing number of COVID-19 cases in Israel. We are now focusing our COVID-19 clinical development in the U.S., which currently has the largest number of cases in the world. During the first quarter, we also entered a collaborative research agreement with the Louis Katz School of Medicine at Temple University in Philadelphia to study the antiviral activity of piclidenoson on COVID-19 viral load. I will now turn the call over to Moti for a new review of the financial results. Moti, please.
Thank you, Pnina. Revenues for the 3 months that ended March 31, 2020 were $0.2 million compared to the revenues of $0.3 million during the 3 months that ended March 31, 2019. The decrease in revenues for the first quarter of 2020 was mainly due to the recognition of lower portion of the advance payments received under the distribution agreement from Gedro, Chong Kundan Pharmaceuticals, and Fite Pharmaceuticals. Research and development expenses for the 3 months that ended March 31, 2020 were $3.77 million compared with $1.44 million for the same period in 2019. Research and development expenses for the first quarter of 2020 comprised primarily of expenses associated with the phase 2 studies for namodenoson in the treatment of NASH and ACC, as well as expenses for ongoing phase 3 studies of piclidenoson in the treatment of rheumatoid arthritis and psoriasis. The increase is primarily due to an increased cost associated with the accelerating rate of enrollment of patients for the phase 3 clinical trials of piclidenoson. General and administrative expenses were $0.7 million for the 3 months that ended March 31, 2020, compared to the $0.57 million for the same period in 2019. The increase is primarily due to an increase in professional services and insurance expenses, which partly offset by the decrease in travel expenses. Net loss for the 3 months that ended March 31, 2020 was $4.34 million compared with a net loss of $1.83 million for the same period in 2019. As of March 31, 2020, CANF had a cash and a cash equivalent of $5.76 million as compared to $2.7 million at December 31, 2019. The increase in cash during the 3 months that ended March 31, 2020 is due to an aggregate of $8.4 million received through the exercise of certain outstanding warrants following the repricing in January 2020, a public offering in February 2020, and a partial exercise in March 2020 of warrants issued in our February 2020 public offering. I will now turn the call over to the operator for our Q&A session.
Thank you. We will now be conducting a question and answer session. If you would like to ask a question, please press star 1 on your telephone keypad. A confirmation tone will indicate your line is in the question queue. You may press star 2 if you'd like to remove your question from the queue. For participants using speaker equipment, it may be necessary to pick up your handset before pressing the star keys. One moment please while we pull for your questions. Our first question comes from the line of Jason Kolbert with Dawson James. Please proceed with your question.
Good morning, guys. Thanks for the update. Can we talk a little bit about how you move the NASH trial forward now that it appears to me that you have definitive proof of concept data? And then what impact have you had in terms of the RA trial for staying on the timeline, given some of the things that have happened around the world and in the U.S. related to COVID? Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kolbert. Actually, regarding the NASH, we are just now concluded the final, or are going to conclude the final data of the clinical study, and we started to sit with all our key opinion leaders who are helping us with the design of the next clinical study, and we'll come up with the results of these discussions very shortly and share it with the public. As of the rheumatoid arthritis, yes, it creates a delay of a couple of months, but we think it's worthwhile, and we even are thinking if the data will come positive, maybe to jump right away to the next phase 3, and then it means that we are not creating any delay. Thank you.
And can I just ask a follow-up question regarding the development of piclodenazone in COVID? Just help me understand kind of the sequence of events, given it seems almost like what you're expecting in terms of the development timeline in the window and kind of the studying that you're supporting down in Pennsylvania or Philadelphia.
Yes, actually we are currently looking for the response of the FDA to our pre-IND, and hopefully they will come back very shortly. And then we have already allocated a site which will be able to enroll patients to be treated with piclodenazole. The timelines are not so much in our hands. We rely on the response of the FDA, but we assume that it will be very shortly, and then we will be able to submit the protocol for the IRB at the site.
And Pnina, just my last question is regarding business development. I mean, one of the things you've done a great job on is talking a little bit about the business development around the globe. Help me understand the interest level on namodenoson in order to get a partner on board to bring that into a pivotal trial. Thanks.
Thank you. Actually, the company now is summarizing all the data, and we are participating in the next couple of months in a couple of partnering meetings. Yes, we are actively looking at partners, and potential partners are looking at us, and we do hope to partner with this very important clinical indication and be able to accelerate the development. Thank you.
Congrats on all the progress in the quarter. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question comes from the line of Vernon Bernardino with H.C. Wainwright. Please proceed with your question.
Hi, Pnina and Moti. Good afternoon. Thanks for taking my question. Just have a few follow-ups on your piclodenazole study in COVID-19 patients. Now, the next plan is to submit it as an addition to current therapies, and you filed the pre-IND. But what kind of drugs do you think piclodenazole will be studied alongside, or that has yet to be determined as far as these patients? What kind of drugs are you seeing so far, other treatments being used in these patients? Are you planning to evaluate, or is it just like all comers, or in effect you're just going to add piclodenazole and perhaps direct it a little bit more as far as the kind of COVID patients, like severity or not as severe patients?
Yes, actually it will be moderate to severe, and we intend to treat on top of standard of care. As standard of care today in most of the sites will be the remdesivir, so we will do it on top of it, or on top of every other standard of care treatment that will be given in the site that we will treat the patient.
So standard of care can be a lot of things, though. Do you plan or do you expect that some of these patients could be on clinical trials for other investigational drugs? For example, would you expect some of these patients could be treated at the same time, such that the clinical trial design protocol design is open to patients being treated with remdesivir, even though that patient was not being treated with remdesivir from the start.
As all of us know today, it mostly can be the remdesivir or just, standard of care, which is just supporting the patient. Mostly nothing else. It will not be added to another drug which is on clinical study. So we assume, based on our talk with the investigator, that this will be the situation.
I see. Okay. And so with you said that soon. When do you expect and what is required, if anything? In these days, so many things can be different with the FDA. When do you expect, and what kind of response do you expect? Is it a letter? Is it further correspondence with a conference call for the pre-IND?
Actually, I'm really not at the FDA, and I cannot tell you if it will be a call or a letter or another type of notice, but I fully rely on the FDA that they will come back with instructions how to go forward, and we will, of course, share it with the public right away.
Okay. And then regarding NASH, any further plans, for example, like AASLD for additional data?
We are now in the last stage of digging into the data. It seems that we came up with good data till now. If there will be more, so again I'm saying we will share it, and actually summarizing all the data is a very good guidance for us how to go forward and design the next study protocol, and we will be very happy to share this as well.
Okay. Those are all the questions I have. Thanks, and congrats on the progress. Looking forward to more.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. There are no further questions at this time. I'd like to turn the call back over to Pnina for any closing remarks.
Thank you. So namodenosone's phase 2 results showing efficacy in NASH and NAFLD is not only a very significant milestone for CANF, it is also important for the medical community that is seeking a safe and effective treatment for the rapidly growing number of patients diagnosed with fatty liver diseases. The number of cases is increasing dramatically due to trends in demographics combined with rising rates in obesity and diabetes. The fact that namodenosone was able to not only reverse but also resolve NASH in the phase 2 patients treated with 25 mg of namodenosone is very compelling. We look forward to response from the FDA about our pre-IND for piclidenoson in the treatment of COVID-19. Looking to the rest of 2020, we expect to have several key additional milestones, including interim phase 3 results in rheumatoid arthritis and psoriasis in the fourth quarter. Thank you everyone for joining the call, and have a good day.
Thank you. This concludes today's teleconference. You may disconnect your lines at this time. Thank you for your participation, and have a wonderful day.